evening, everybody, and welcome back to the garage for, well, yet another unscheduled trip with Andy the Cabby Cabby, this time on a Saturday evening. I hope everyone's doing all right. I hope everyone has had a good day, and we're obviously heading into Sunday tomorrow. I just want to say a couple of things, first of all, before we get onto the main subject matter. I think I've cured my lighting issue. Turns out it's what I'm wearing. If it's a light colour, the light bounces all over the place and causes shadows here, there and everywhere. So I've opted for a change of clothing, and I think it's disappeared. It was kind of right there, so I think I've cured it. Now, the other thing I want to mention, and it's kind of important. Now, I don't think I'm the only one that suffers from this. Many other YouTube creators do as well. And I'm speaking on behalf of, well, everybody. Whenever you mention reform, whenever you mention Nigel Farage or anything that remotely could be considered anti either of those, everybody gets on their high horse and accuses the relayer of the information of stirring the pot, shit stirring, or whatever you want to call it. I get this time and time and time again. Now, let's be very clear. All I am is a relayer of truth, a relayer of information. Everything I bring to you, including what you will see this evening, is in the public domain. And it's information that if you support reform, if you support Nigel, you support Rupert or anybody else, you have a right to know and you need to see it. So what I'm going to do this evening is run through everything I've found, and then you make your own judgments. That's what it's all about. Now, before I bring up the first one, the channel has passed 130,000 subscribers today. So before I do anything, I just want to say thank you very much, ever so much, for all your support, and keep it coming, and make sure you hit that thumbs up on the way in. Now, the title of this live stream is Rupert Lowe Fights Back, Farage Responds. That is exactly what's happened. Now, both of them have gone to the press, the Daily Telegraph to be precise, and issued a statement in there giving their sides of the story. And what I want to do is bring you those. Now, we'll start off with Rupert Lowe. I mean, this has been kicking off something chronic over the last couple of days, and it's going to cause a great big chasm if we're not careful. Now, I've commissioned a couple of polls on my YouTube channel. I'm not going to say anything about them yet because they've not been running long enough, but the initial results are interesting, and I'll bring you those in the next day or two. But here's the first article. Rupert Lowe, I'm the victim of a witch hunt and I'm innocent. It's a surprise that allegations about me were made public the day after I made reasonable criticisms of Nigel Farage. Now, I'll read the rest of this text to you and listen up. So this was released on, well, today, and it came out at 4 o'clock this afternoon. And it's very important that we all hear what he has to say. And then for balance, we'll go to Nigel's statement afterwards. Let me be abundantly clear on one thing to begin. There is no credible evidence against me. None has been provided. Reform has removed me from the party before any investigation has started. These allegations at me, they've done complaints to insinuate that I'm guilty. I will not tolerate these falsehoods, and discussions have already taken place with my legal team. He's referring to the statement that was released. Now, if you read it in a cursory glance straight away, it gives you the impression that Rupert's responsible for everything they're accused of. But if you break it down, you can really read between the lines and see the truth in them. Whoever wrote that is either completely incompetent or allegation after I made reasonable criticisms of Nigel Farage and the reform leadership. It's a witch hunt, plain for all to see. I've been entirely frozen out of the in a deliberate and calculated way. I've tried and tried to restore communication. I've failed categorically. Despite repeated requests for regular meetings, policy debate, and even just the most basic level of communication, I'm ridiculed and insulted. There were 5 MPs. We could have fitted in a black cab getting together for a weekly meeting. It's not beyond the wit of a man. Yet, yes, I am not your usual politician. I'm fortunate to be wealthy in my own right and donate my entire salary to local charities. I'm not in this for the money. I'm in this to change the way our country is governed. Do I need to spend my weekends trudging around Great Yarmouth talking about bins? No, but I love it. Being Great Yarmouth's MP is the biggest honour of professional life. I've been betrayed many times in my life, but never so ferociously by individuals I once called friends. Nobody even bothered to call me to ask me what really happened. I found this years ago when I dipped a toe in the political water. It's nasty. Parliamentary HR were involved at every step of the way and were fully supportive of the steps taken. This is not about that. It's about me and a complete inability for the Reform leadership to even accept the most mild, constructive criticism. The allegations against me from the chairman relate to an incident in December, but he only reported them to the police the day after my reasonable question was published. Take from that what you will. Oh, I have, Rupert, I have. I don't feel sorry for myself. Now, this is a key point. This shows you a measure of a man right here. I'm sorry for the millions of decent British men and women who put their faith in reform. They deserve better than this charade. Will members be pleased to know that their fees have been spent on hiring lawyers to investigate their own MPs with zero credible evidence? Everything has been put at risk. Everything. The future of the right in Britain is now in peril. How can Reform claim to be a party awaiting government when they can't even follow basic process? They even botched the release of their statement, failing to say been suspended, then clarifying, then removing the whip. It's impressive incompetence. Reform has been rising in the polls for months, but this spectre of infighting will leave the party looking unserious and turns voters off. Infighting failed the Tories, and it will fail Reform. I want Reform to be professional, to be fair, to be serious. We must offer a credible alternative to the uni party that has so failed so spectacularly. That's the main worry here, isn't it? The leadership's behaviour this week has undermined that cause, not only in the eyes of the electorate, but also in those of serious individuals across business and industry that any party of government needs to win over. On multiple occasions, I have invited Nigel Farage for dinner over the last few months. Every single one has been refused or ignored. My one and only summons from Nigel to Reform HQ, I was unable to be met at such short notice. No further invitation was extended after that. Again, I offer a public invitation to Nigel. Let's have dinner and resolve this in a manner that our members, supporters and country would expect. Any time, any place. Removing me from the party before any investigation has started is a cowardly act that undermines our entire cause. Reform in Britain deserves a lot better. Well, there you go. That's Rupert's statement on the situation, as you will find in the Daily Telegraph. Now, several things jump out there for me. The sincerity. He's in it to make things better for this country, to make things better for everybody. And he's absolutely dumbfounded as to what's happened, the timing of what's happened and how it's happened. Now, this has to be careful. We have to be careful, or they have to be careful, how this is effectively stage managed, because it could have the potential to blow them to pieces. And then, as he rightly points out, we will be stuck with more of the garbage uni party that we've been used to for at least a couple of generations. Something has to change. Now, I did a poll on my channel, which you can go and have a look. It's under the community section. And I said, if Nigel Farage wasn't there, would you still vote for Reform? And an overwhelming number said yes. So that tells me that it's not Farage, it's Reform. That's what people are believing in, the chance to reform our politics, the chance for something different. That is the engine. And as Paul Thorpe is fond of saying, it just needs a driver. It's as simple as that. Quick couple of your comments, folks, and then we'll have a look at what Nigel had to say. Kenneth, maybe they could meet at the traditional pub and share a yard of ale as they exchange opinions. I mean, that's it. That's a shame, isn't it? It's turned into infighting, but publicly. It should have happened behind closed doors. People should have spoken to one another, and it should have been dealt with before it got this far. Cosmic Audio, the middle class will return to the Tories once Jenrick leads it. Farage needs to accept the working class here and reform affair. This is the point, isn't it? And somebody else mentioned this earlier. He's targeting the wrong people. The people that are pissed off with all this far outnumber the people that he's currently targeting. And there is a class system in this country, like it or not, and we're all in our individual pockets. Tyson Farage are too old Tory, and Yusuf has just bought his way in. Somebody else has put Yusuf equals Trojan horse. Now, I've seen people online clamoring for Yusuf to be sacked. Now, it's a very complicated thing. And if you go over on my X account and follow me there, you'll see a post I put up saying everybody screaming for Yusuf to be sacked have to understand how things are set up. Now, if you have a look at Companies House and have a look at the companies involved, now I can see what's going on because I'm a director of 2 limited companies myself, so I have an idea how the whole thing works. And, you know, it's very easy to see and very easy to work out once you have a look, but that's another video for another time. Reform is a massive threat to the establishment. Nobody in reform benefits from this ridiculous situation. Ask yourself, who benefits? The establishment benefits, because if there's doubt about reform, then, you know, what the hell is going on? What's going to happen? There's an interesting humorous comment I just want to find here. Yeah, here we go. Why choose a garage? Thank you, Kelly. I actually started off in this garage when I started the channel years ago, and it turned into a running joke and then turned into something serious. So I just set up a studio type arrangement in here where I could do my lives, and it was a lot better than sitting in the car. And sometimes I do them out on the road, sometimes I do them everywhere else, but predominantly in here. Thank you very much for the comment. Now, let's have a look what Nigel had to say. If the last general election taught us anything, it's that the public does not like political parties that engage in constant infighting. The never-ending civil war that came to define the last Conservative government resulted in a loveless, though large, Labour majority that Britain is saddled with today. I'm acutely aware of this, which is why Reform UK has devoted so much time and effort since July to building a unified national party machine. Now, thanks to one of our MPs, Rupert Lowe, unloading a barrage of criticism against our operations and its main actors, that sense of unity has been dented. Now, as I said earlier, and I'm not sure whether you got this, now, thanks to one of our MP unloading a barrage of criticism, personally, I find that a complete overreaction, because at the end of the day, it was constructive critique in an article. It's, you know, it wasn't any more than that. The truth is that Mr. Lowe has made some excellent interventions over the past 8 months and helped to stimulate public debate on a range of pressing issues facing the country. What many people may not have realised, however, is that in the time he has also managed to fall out with all of his colleagues in one way or another. We did our best to keep a lid on things, but in the end, containment strategies invariably fail. One clear example of the type of difficulty that I have in mind occurred in the chamber of the House of Commons just as Parliament was about to enter its Christmas recess. It was the last parliamentary debate of the year. Mr. Lowe, who represents Great Yarmouth, asked Mike Kane, the Transport Minister, a question about the MV Ruby. I don't know if anybody caught that. This was moored off the coast of my hometown, Margate, for quite a considerable amount of time. Mr. Lowe was unhappy with the answer that he received from Mr. Kane, and at the end of the debate, he crossed the floor to make his feelings known. A confrontation ensued, Heated language was heard. The minister's shoulder was pushed. In the end, the sergeant of arms had to step in to calm things down between the two parliamentarians. Commenting on Mr. Lowe's conduct later, Mr. Kane told GB News that the anger displayed towards me clearly showed a man that did not have full control of his faculties. No one in Reform said anything publicly about what happened. Instead, we carried on. Yet the fact is, sadly, there have been too many similar outbursts from Mr. Lowe, often involving the use of inappropriate language to the despair of our chief whip, Lee Anderson. I've been surprised and saddened at this behaviour. Certainly, I never saw anything like it in the European Parliament in 2019, when I was the leader of the Brexit Party and Mr. Lowe was an MEP colleague. Last week, the chairman of Reform UK, Zaya Youssef, showed me 2 letters sent by female members of staff. Now, this is where that comes from. 2 letters shown by Zaya Youssef. Where did the letters come from? And they involved an accusation of workplace bullying involving Mr. Lowe. One of the incidents in question is alleged to have taken place within the parliamentary estate, obviously meaning Westminster. As a responsible political party, Reform UK has a duty of care to every single member of staff, whether they are employed by us directly or indirectly. With that in mind, I believe that our chairman was entirely right for Reform to appoint a KC to conduct an independent inquiry. It's inconceivable that we could simply ignore these allegations. Now, you saw, or you should have seen on Rupert's comments, the fact that this KC has said certain things to Rupert, which he's made public. Whether this turn of events prompted Mr. Lowe to use a newspaper interview this week to launch a political attack against me, I cannot say. Well, it wasn't an attack. It was constructive criticism. That's what it was. That's where it's all blown up from. All I do know is that Mr. Youssef was presented with complaints which he could not simply disregard. This is not the way of Reform. But let's pretend for a minute that Mr. Youssef had turned a blind eye to what the letters allege. Can anybody imagine what sort of a storm Reform UK would be facing now if it transpired that this unfortunate situation had been dealt with by trying to play it down, or worse, sweep it under the carpet? I'm certain that to have done nothing would have been considerably worse for everybody concerned. The 2 women who claim they are the victims of workplace bullying, Mr. Lowe, Mr. Youssef in his capacity as party chairman, and the reputation of Reform is the cornerstone of politics. After all, trust. For now, we must wait and see what happens. The parliamentary authorities reach. We must also wait to hear what the KC, who has been tasked with looking into these matters, has to say. Until we know more, I must return to the crucial job of getting 1,500 vetted Reform UK candidates out into the field for the local and mayoral elections on the 1st of May. It's essential that they stand for office with a united Foursquare team behind them. If Britain is to thrive, we must rid the country of this socialist government. That's why I believe that Reform UK matters more now than it's ever done before. That's why it's so important that our party and every single one of its representatives behaves responsible at all times. Nothing else will do. Nothing else will do. That's the problem, isn't it? Trust. There's a distinct lack of trust in our political discourse. We need something new. That's why people are looking to Reform for that something new. Also, you know, I did an interesting poll because somebody raised the thought, you know, what if Farage wasn't there? Would you still vote for a Reform as a political party? And a lot of people have said yes. I'm not going to show the results of that yet because it's got a few more days to run. If they're not careful, if this isn't stage managed properly, it's going to destroy the whole thing. And that's certainly what we don't want. That idea of Reform has to be prominent. It has to be overwhelmingly important than anything else. Any man, any woman, anything, that has to That has to stand no matter what, in my opinion. Now, let's have a look. Now, again, apologies for the technical difficulties. What I will do when this live is over, I'll do a bit of cutting and pasting and moving. So if anybody watches it in replay, it won't look so bad. Lowe exudes passion for truth and what is right. Maybe then not cut out for official party politics in the MSNI. Too honest and outspoken to be a UK politician. What a shame. I think he was asking too many questions, too many awkward questions. I'm so concerned for the UK. This is Phil. My ancestors fought for this country. I can hear my late grandparents crying. It's not the same country. And how the devil are we letting in the high numbers of illegals? Exactly. There's no end in sight, is there? No end in sight. Trust was gone between workers' elites around closing mines in UK, Germany, 1980 and 1979, to oil energy system crisis in which elites don't pay taxes anymore. All is played by blue collar, leading to bad police, NHS, housing, etc. Absolutely. I mean, the rot's set in for years, isn't it? They still have time to mature. You're absolutely right, Les. And we have to decide, is it one man or is it the engine, the idea of reform? We can't chuck it all the way. I've met some wonderful, what you would call grassroots people with reform, spoken to, interviewed, had stuff to do with, and they're wonderful people. And all we're seeing is what's happening on the grass, on the top level at Westminster. And it's what ends up in the newspapers. That's the trouble. I felt the same yesterday when I thought about Rupert speaking up for TR in an official capacity. And he's saying what a lot of people are thinking. Is that the problem? Definitely deflated the momentum. All seems a bit same old, same old. I think the message is we need to step back and just see how it unfolds. And as I said at the beginning of this live stream, I'm a conveyor of information. Although I've made a bit of a cock up of it this evening, granted. And I will bring you anything, put anything in front of you that I feel you need to see. Nicola Wright, Farage has shown you all his true colours, and they're not red, white and blue. Every party he has been involved with, he has destroyed. As I said, I've had my own history with him, being the involvement he had in the area in which I live. So, we'll have to see what happens. We need to stop giving this oxygen, sir. It's just pantomime. That may be so, but, anybody that supports reform, we can't just sweep this under the carpet and ignore it. People have to try and think about it. And, what I decide. Me being 35, I've only just understood Guy Fawkes. There's the old joke, isn't it? The last person to enter that place with honourable intentions. Absolutely. The question is Farage controlled opposition? That's a question been asked by a lot of people, isn't it, Stevie? Absolutely. I bet Guy Fawkes was a working man. I think he was onto something. You could be right, sir. You could be right. 100%. Causes chosen and disappear. He's as brought off as arrest. I mean, as I said, people are talking about Zaya Yusuf as well. Look into the companies. Look into the companies. No need to apologise, Phil says. Not your fault. Yeah, absolutely. It did. It just cut out. It was unbelievable. So to recap, Lowe has gone in the papers, said his piece. Farage has said his piece. We are where we are. And we have to see what happens next. It's going to be a drawn-out thing that's going to happen over the next few days. But the problem is, it's human nature, isn't it? Whenever anybody sees something like this, they can't do that. They can't do that. Right? Yeah, stuff them. You've got to really calm down and think about it. What's more important, this country and its future, or this? Screwed. I thought the wheels came off when Farage disparaged Tommy and spoke up for Shmima Begum returning back to the UK. Is Farage a kamikaze pilot like Boris? You've got a good point there. Very good point, definitely. We'll have to see. They should all remove all the bars in Parliament. I reckon they're all drunk during their speeches. So it's not quite right, is it? Something not quite right somewhere. Fantastic live stream. Keep it up. Thank you, Phil, apart from the technical difficulties. I was literally sitting there, saw this come up. I thought, God, I need to get this in front of everybody. The only thing that was going to get reformed was the size of Farage and Tice's bank account. Well, this is the thing as well, isn't it, that was pointed out. Where did the funds come from that paid for this KC? You know, that's not what people are paying membership fees for. Biden, Soros don't work for well-being, US and global peace, but for own profits. That's why Ukraine started, but it failed. So now they'll unleash war in the rest. Could be, could be. 4 years for Lowe, Truss and Co. to form a better party. I know that was discussed, wasn't it, on Paul Thorpe's channel with him and Richard Inman yesterday. I think I was tuned into that. Murray, hello. Good to see you, my friend. Hope you're well. Is there a plant in the party being put there to destroy the party? Got a rough idea who it is? Well, it's all closed door stuff, isn't it? That no one knows anything about. So we'll have to figure it out. Definitely. Anyway, folks, that's the 2 articles. That's a few comments. I won't keep you any longer. And again, apologies for the midstream balls up. I'm not quite sure what happened there, but we got there in the end. I will be here tomorrow with a live stream for you, roughly 8:30 in the evening. I look forward to seeing you all then. I'll try to get some more content out tomorrow as well. Again, 130,000 subscribers I passed today on the channel, so very much appreciate the support and all the thumbs up you give me. And as always, I look forward to talking to you soon. Toodaloo.